cost update. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I get to spend quite a few minutes with you today. We've got quite a bit to go over. So, first of all, playgrounds. That is in the works, and we are hoping that those will be installed by late January or early February. They're in production right now. Those bids have been sent out, or the notice has been sent out. Everything's in the pipeline. Stadium upgrades. The stadium upgrades are several, and I'm going to kind of jump into the bids portion of it as well as we go through, just so that it flows a little better. What we have with the stadium is our athletics have really done well. Our boys and girls soccer have gone deep into the playoffs. Our high school football went second round this year. So one of the problems is we do not make GHSA qualification size for, and Dr. Bitterman, correct me if I'm wrong on this.
Yes, sir.
Our stadium visitor section doesn't support a visiting team in playoff play. So, and we had 2 different times this year where we had more people than visitor side proposed. So, adding 400 seats will put us back into regulation play. And that's $49,475, but that $7,500 is the addition of another ADA approved ramp on the south end of those stands. We are ADA compliant with the north end, but putting an ADA ramp on the south end makes it a lot more accessible. So that brings up to $56,500 or $975. That's part of the stadium renovation. The piping, which you had so graciously, when I called you all the other day, you gave me the authorization to move ahead with, that has been delayed. We now have found out we need to do civil drawings on this. We weren't expecting to have to do that. So we're having to back up and do a little more work. So it's going to put that timeline off. But I thank you for your guidance on that. The wheel alignment machine. And Mr. Davis will speak more about this in just a moment. But our current wheel alignment machine at the high school for the automotive does not work. It can't be repaired, it can't be replaced, it can't be fixed, it can't be anything. It's just a dead piece of equipment at this point. In order to effectively do the class, we need an alignment machine. The machine that has been suggested, it's actually the one that came in the lowest price as well, $57,000. However, if you'll notice the note at the bottom, $30,600 is going to be paid for by a grant that Mr. Davis wrote and received to supplement some of that. So it's not that full amount. So the state will apply or supply $30,000 of that. Next, we have work vehicles. Our work vehicle fleet, other than what we just did, is dilapidated, outdated, and going by very quickly. We are asking that you consider the purchase of 4 vehicles. A 2500 cargo van with bins from Ware Chevrolet, 2 Dodge 2500s from Jackie Jones Dodge, and a Dodge 3500 from Jackie Jones Dodge. Now the 2500 would be for maintenance and transportation.
The van?
No, the maintenance would have the van, and then, then the 2500s would be one for maintenance and one for transportation. The 3500 would be a utility truck to be used accordingly with agriculture, the band, and pulling heavy equipment around campus that the 2500s would take care of. In all transparency though, I want you to note that King Ford actually beat Jackie Jones on the 2500s and the 3500s. They beat Jackie Jones by $400 on the 2500s and by about $1,500 on the 3500. The reason we're asking for Jackie Jones is to continue to do that yearly trade-in. King Ford said it'd be between $5,000 and $7,000 trade-in cost per year. Jackie Jones Dodge said between $500 and $1,500 trade-in per year. It's a little harder to nail down the larger chassis vehicles. But, so the first trade-in, we've lost money, is why we're asking for those purchases. Where just hands down beat everybody on the band, and they've also said that they would honor that yearly trade-in, so that makes us have a completely up-to-date fleet all the time, and we didn't put the first wiper blade on a vehicle last year.
I have just one thing I'd like to say. On the 3500, because it's written down as a diesel on the Dodge, the heaviest thing that would tow, wouldn't that be the heaviest thing would be the cow trailer full of cows, is that right?
Maybe a Bobcat.
Full Bobcat too.
The reason I'm saying that, if diesels cost so much, you know, Ford has come out with that new 7.3 liter gas, might save a lot of money, they're 500 foot-pounds of torque. You might save a bunch of money on that route.
The towing rating on them was right at like 14,000, and that's what the ag trailer is. So you'd be
Big
right
load of
there.
cows, you'd be right there at the limit of it.
Yeah, especially if you had any other equipment on the bed or anything. you could
Initially, I wanted to go
right
with
there.
gas, because I knew it'd be cheaper.
Well, I know like anything happens to a diesel, you know, well, of course it's under warranty because you're gonna trade it every year.
And the Jackie Jones did honor that $500 trade-in on the work truck. We traded all three of those trucks in after, what, 14 months for $1,500 total dollars. So we didn't even have to change the oil on them.
That engine brake's really nice too on that diesel when they got low calories, because they're normally more across the mountain.
Now, what are we gonna do with the two? Don't we have a two flatbed?
We do have two trucks that we probably need to address next month. If the board chooses to approve this, we need to see what the lead time on acquiring that vehicle would be if you do choose to go this avenue. And we have to make a decision to, gray truck needs the transmission and rear end. I mean, we're in place for some pretty significant maintenance costs, whether we want to surplus those.
Well, there's 7.3 diesels.
One's a 6.0, one's a 6.4.
Got a bad idea about those, in my personal opinion.
What about this trade-in program? So essentially you're saying we're gonna buy from the vendor and then in 1 year give him back the same vehicle and he's gonna pay us
No, we're gonna pay him $500 and get
They get a
another.
brand new
a brand new.
So we're gonna do away with both of those Fords?
Well, that's something I'd like to talk about after we decide, you know, what we're gonna do and what's your thoughts?
Well, if you can replace the truck, I know better. Have to pay, you know, all the teacher deficit, but I would think you gotta have two of them, don't you? Because they gotta do so much.
There's 4 ag shows a year from what? Is that correct, Josh?
4 where they need to actually tow 2 trailers.
Two livestock
Two
trailers.
truck, yes, sir. But sometimes they go multiple directions, so.
Can you, how about, can parents tow cattle, is that something? other
That's
people
the
can?
standard practice.
Yes.
Chris, would you address that?
Sure.
You've done that.
Literally all my life, but yes, it's actually common practice. Most schools that I know of, large and small, typically have one truck, one trailer. Some of them may have 2 trailers, like an equipment trailer and a stock trailer, and then depending on the size, you know, if the program grows, the parents pull. That's kind of normal.
I know the parents pull, I didn't know if we would pull. Is it okay for a parent to pull somebody else's cow, like if they kill somebody's cow, who has to pay for it?
It's under the one that's transporting vehicle insurance, that's correct.
I've got another idea I'm working on. I'll tell you about next week.
Well, okay, so I wanna make sure I understand. You need to trade in on all vehicles that the school owns?
Well, the ones that we purchased new on government contract are the ones that those are, that's an option. It's like on the government contract, you can buy these trucks cheaper new than you can used.
Well, if you can trade it every year for $500 or $1,500 and it's a decent vehicle.
No, I'm fine
It's
with it, I
one
just wanted
breakdown.
to know which vehicle
It's
is.
one breakdown, and you can say.
Right now, the only new ones we bought, would be the three 1,500 maintenance trucks that you all approved about 18 months ago. And we traded those three in, end of October, first of November.
Yes.
We had to pay $500 a piece to switch match, just what the sheriff does with his fleet vehicles.
Right.
And the dealer is able to then resell that vehicle, it's a low mileage, well-maintained vehicle, and so they do well on the truck.
I just didn't realize we were planning on doing it with all maintenance, all of the vehicles, not just, y'all mentioned it on the police cars, and I thought that's the way we were gonna go on those.
We didn't do that on the police vehicles. It would've been nice if we'd done that.
We should have bought four, in retrospect, we should have bought four brand new police vehicles and traded them.
So is that in writing? I mean, are they gonna honor that for sure? I mean,
They honored it this time, I mean, I don't see any, it's not in writing, but it has been honored.
Actually, there's 1,500 allocated on November for maintenance equipment. That's what we had to pay, it's noted on the piece. Sure it is. They can't got trucks, cross the new ones.
I say get them on Fords and polish them up and have an auction up there, one at the ag mart. They'll pay 3 times what they're worth.
And then get another flat.
And then buy another good truck.
Yeah.
They can put the auction.
Do we have anybody that can even work on a 6.4 and a 6.0 truck? You?
Yeah.
I'm
I'm not gonna jump up and down and say yes, I want to, but.
I just think so, I know how big a dust that is.
But it just ensures that we have all our vehicles under warranty. Next would be the field turf. And again, thank you all for taking my phone call the other week so that we can move forward. And just to give you a little idea of what the field will look like, there's the new field. With interlaid dark and light striping on the field. In transparency again, the price I quoted you on the phone was $608,395. However, once we really looked at the final specs, the coaches felt that the center angle did not really show up well enough, that it felt unbalanced because the north end, which would be your left side of the screen, had Union and then Panthers on the other end, and it just felt really heavy on the south. So each one of those letters that we added cost $1,750. They also wanted the purple in the areas for the athletes to stand, and we added a white border to the entire logo. However, Field Turf is really working with us, and they added about $2,300 to the whole price for the whole thing. So it comes out to $610,673.
So the black circle around the UC will be there?
Yes, that's soccer, and you can see, this is a regulation play field for both soccer and footballs, and so this is the exact same turf that's in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's the best, the best.
And it's the cheapest.
And what we were going for originally, which is what I told you on the phone, but to let everyone else know, by going up $10,000, it gave us 2 more years of warranty to go from the better to the best. So it was worth the $10,000 just in 2 years of warranty. But this has the heat rated
pellets, it's supposed to be about minimum 30 degrees.
Absolutely. 15, 20, it makes a huge difference, yes, sir.
And that would be all I have on East West update. Do you have any questions about what we have spent to date thus far on this sheet? And if you would, you might want to set all of those aside because that way you can use them when we get to the meeting.
We still have the field house project one, are you gonna over it?
I was just gonna let you call for it, because that's on the agenda.
Oh, that's the next one.
Yes.
Okay, the field house project.
Okay. I was just waiting. All right. So, for the field house,
He's a rule stickler.
I'm not going to jump ahead. All right. So, if you'll remember, our bids came back at 1.8 million on the original purchase. You felt that was too high. We all agree. We got it down a little bit. I've spoken with Mr. Randy Day, who is in charge of all the permitting for the county. He felt that the numbers that we got in this project were right on par. He felt that the scores that the contractors received were right what they should be. He was very familiar with two of them and was happy with what we had done. But what we have, I want to come to the numbers in just a minute, but give you a little preview of what your money would be paying for. This would be the existing field house and the way it would change to gable roofs. There's an addition on the back, creating two separate dressing areas. You'll have like a JV area and a varsity area, which also works well with us for Title IX, because now we have two separate dressing rooms that we can actually use for female athletes as well. Soccer, running, cross country, track, whatever. So this gives us a lot of versatility. It adds a training room in the left-hand, what would be upper part of your screen corner, is the back of the field house actually. And then adds that area which is showers, restrooms, and so forth for what would be the new varsity. It spruces up the coach's area just a little bit, but this is using every wall we can maintain. This is value engineered to the hill. At one point when we were doing all of our numbers, all three contractors were within about $400. Isn't that what it came to at one point? Maybe a little less. It was crazy. Just the way we were working, these numbers were tight. But that's the existing field house, the way it would change. And this would be the new field house. It's a much smaller field house, but it's also a dual use. And should that ever change, this is already designed so that you have knockout walls, and you can go to the what would be your right-hand side to add on an entire area. And you would have one large locker room at that point, and the bathroom knocks out to make a big bathroom, and so does the dressing room area. That's, plus what it's going to do is it's going to match both ends of the field. You're going to have the gable roofs at each end of the field, so that you're going to have a very clear looking design. They both have split face CMU block wall water tables. So that's going to keep that clean. So when you're sitting in the stands looking, you're going to see continuity from one end of the field to the other. It's not going to be a mismatch that so often happens when you start adding on. But now to the big thing, the numbers. Wrong one. That was what I was looking for. We are recommending Charles Black Construction for $947,350. You have a page right behind this that lists every one of the alternate options that we had provided to the bidders. Items 1 through 7 are deductive numbers, and items 8 and 9 were additive numbers. Those were wish list items. As you can see, we didn't go for any wish lists. But after looking at it and the values of all of those alternate options, the committee felt that the best choice would be to reduce
remove alternate 3, which is the HVAC. Thank you, Mr. Crowe and staff. Mr. Crowe is a licensed HVAC individual, and so we will do the HVAC in-house to save $116,350 if you approve this bid. Well, that's contract fees, there'll be materials fees, but it's in-house at that point. But as I said, Charles Black Construction both won according to price and points. And that's our recommendation. Any questions about this bid? One of the things that I would like to ask you though, and it's not really that we have to, but I just want to clear up something. If you'll go back to your East Plus sheet, if you'll notice, we had $1 million in stadium upgrades and $1 million on the field house remodel. We were hoping that the field house would come in at 820, and it came in right at the $1 million mark. So one of the things in the stadium upgrade, we could put that off until later, or if we can get the numbers small enough, maybe we can do it at the end, but we are looking to pull 150 out of the stadium upgrade and put it onto the field house. So you're still with that $2 million total, but just move the funds so that it will cover the field house and then deduct from the stadium upgrades.
The stadium upgrades would still get us in compliance.
Oh, yes, that's not, this is some of those at the back end options that we were trying to do such as lighting, going to LED lighting to try to save on money. That's a substantial portion. It was 250-ish thousand for that, so we'll knock that off. Our lights work fine, but LED is a much better option. It's a safety feature. I don't know if you were at the football game 2 years ago, when
I was.
we sat in the dark for 15 minutes because you have to wait for those lights to cool down and then heat up before they'll come back on. With the LEDs, it's like the lights in here. They're on. So it's something we need to look at in the future, but we don't have to do right now. So, yes, ma'am.
What's the $37,000 we've already spent? I know we spent some on the original drawings.
Those are architectural fees.
So what about the
TDH.
fees that we incurred in tearing down what was there and all that stuff?
Mr. Crowe took care of that. We did that in-house. The old field house was done in-house, and
We didn't spend any East Boston.
we didn't spend, well,
That was out of maintenance and operation.
it's, right. And so that was done, and then all of the renovation will take care of the other system. Anything else?
We also, Mr. Crowe has secured lighting for the primary school parking lot.
Yes.
And that-
The lighting is supposed to be in the primary school this week. There was we'll just say an issue at EMC. It was supposed to have been in before now, but it didn't happen. And they should be working on getting everything ready for the Ag Center as well. So,
A couple of years ago, when we did a major purchase of buses, we talked about getting on a rotation, or are we still
yes,
planning
ma'am.
on,
In the transportation portion of your East West purchases, you'll notice that it says $165,000. That includes a bus and 2 vehicles that we're talking about. The bus will get back approximately $70,000 on the bus in bus bond. So we'll really only pay about $35,000 for the bus when it's all said and done and we get our money back from the state, because they reimburse you. We don't pay for it.
Do we pretty much have most of the bus fleet up to date now?
Yeah, pretty much they're all new. We've got one more this year coming, and it'll be the second week in January, it'll be here. And that'll pretty much 09 and newer.
Are all of
route buses.
And Mr. Oldby sent, the one that now a Woody Gap bus for Mr. Coker, so both buses that work at Woody Gap are 18 miles.
I got a question. Just, how many buses do we have? Because I know we've been working on getting air conditioned buses. How many of them are air conditioned now, out of curiosity?
Around 16, 17.
And we got, about 30-something total?
30 daily routes.
30?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good number.
So we're just probably just a little over half for air conditioning.
Do we have any complainers about them not having air conditioned buses? I know we can't go back and buy them for complaining, I'm just curious.
A few.
And we're purchasing about 2 to 3 typically a year's the rotation now, but this year it just worked out.
We can't buy, take out 15 buses because they don't have air conditioning.
Well, one of the reasons is we did the 10 purchases a couple of years ago, which, when you look at the technology budget, you'll notice there's $135,000 there for November. That's 700 Chromebooks and the licensing to work with the Chromebooks. Mr. Driscoll has started, trying to get these so that we're putting them on rotation because we bought 2,500 of them, Mr. Driscoll, originally, so they all go dead at the same time. And so this is trying to get that into a rotation so that we're doing things a little more methodically every year.
This has to do with anything, but how long was that when the tree fell out of service?
Close to a year.
Pretty close to it.
That's a new bus, but it's bad.
It has 9,600 miles on it.
It's a brand new bus, brand new car. Are we having a lot of trouble with the diesel, the DPF and DEF systems on the buses?
Not really. Usually, every now and then you'll have one that have to regen and stuff, but for the most part, not much trouble.
It's got a lot better
Yeah.
here.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Mr. Hill, Director's update.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you very much. From last month, we're gonna continue our director's update. We've got about 20 minutes to get done. We've gotta get a photograph of you folks for the yearbook between meetings. Mr. Hunter and I went to the bar this morning. Ms. Jones, we'll start with you, and I wanna thank you very much, first of all, for providing everybody with this wonderful meal. And if you didn't get a chance to eat during the break, get some food or after the meeting, because it's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, just for those of you that don't know, the cinnamon rolls were from the high school, and the bread pudding was from the middle school. And we had our first Christmas or holiday meal at the elementary school that they've had in a while. We had 3 days, and we fed a little over 700 people in those 3 days. It went extremely smooth. It was like they'd done it every year. And we had some great volunteers, so that was a big success. The primary school, we had the Thanksgiving meal, and we served 2,044 in 2 days. Yeah, yeah. The health inspector's been around to all the schools, and they all got hundreds, and everything's just going really well.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Setzer? Work around the room.
Yeah. Some of the things that I'm going to tell you heard a little bit about last meeting, but I'm very proud of them, so you're going to hear them again. Very proud of our 4-year graduation rate for the 18-19 school year. It was 100%. We're the only district in our RESA to have a SWD graduation rate of 100. We're one of only about 6 districts in the state, in addition of 2 very, very tiny charter districts. So very, very proud of that. We were chosen to be in the Spotlight on Success. The state is developing a new website to share resources with schools that they think are very successful with graduation rate. So we were chosen to put some resources on that website. We're working on that right now, putting our best practices up there to share. We also received 100% district determination for compliance. And this score is based on 9 indicators that the state sets forward to determine if you are meeting compliance standards for timelines, evaluations, transition meetings for 3-year-olds and babies can't wait, things like that. All of those 60 days and 30 days and 45-day timelines that we have to keep up with. Very proud of that. Not an easy thing to do. I have some really great people that make that happen. As of this week, our goal of 100% transferring IEPs into the state model of Go IEP will be complete. You will hear a sigh of relief across the district on Friday when all of those are finally filed. It was a major undertaking, but they handled it well. This program has a lot of benefits. A lot of the data, or all of the data, comes from student record, which helps us with accuracy and reporting. And it's also free to districts. So that is a really nice chunk of savings for the district, and it's going to be a nice model for us to use. In doing so, we did have to establish a new 504 forms, because those forms were part of the Power School IEP program we were using. The state model is strictly special education. So what we did was we took some forms from different districts that use in-house forms and compiled our own using some of the best of those and changing those. And what that allows us to do is, as our needs change, we can adapt the form to what we need and think is appropriate. And that's really good. The last very exciting thing that I have for you is this year we did get some extra allotment for preschool disabilities program from the state. And with that, we were able to purchase a new vision screening and hearing screening. And what's exciting about that is it can screen from birth to age 21. So you do not have to be verbal in order for these machines to detect if you have a functional hearing and vision, and whether you need to be referred on to a physician or not. Sometimes it's very hard to get those readings if the child's uncooperative or cannot auditorily tell you or has a cognitive issue. But you just have to look at it, and it'll tell them their hearing, and it will measure the vibration of their eardrum. So it tells us if they can functionally hear and see. It's going to be very exciting for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Good job. Ms. Vaughn?
With a curriculum director update, our second step grant, our implementation, that was in response to State Bill 401 that requires public schools to implement age-appropriate sexual abuse and assault awareness and prevention education for our students in grades K through 9. The primary goal of the program is to reduce the incidence of child abuse and neglect and improve the overall health and well-being of our students and our families. They include information on physical, emotional abuse and neglect, anti-bullying, internet safety, and in the middle school they add in dating violence. So that's well underway. Our teachers have been trained for the most part on second step. Middle school is doing it as they come to those units. And elementary and primary and Woody Gap have done all the second step units, and now we're working on our child protection and our bullying prevention units to get trained for those. We're also using some of the child safety matters to meet that requirement. So when we can impose one over the other so we don't have to do both, we will. Our first report, which was a biggie, was due before the end of October, and Gina Donahue's been helping with that, our retired counselor, and that one was over 25 pages. But it must have all been great because we didn't get any word back, but we got a check back to reimburse us, so that's what really counted on that. Want to give you a little teacher feedback. Teacher said it encourages students to reflect and practice positive behavior, both individually and as part of the community. And their negative is that time is the biggest issue to work in the lessons. For the McGraw-Hill and My Math and Reveal implementation, we had another training on December 3rd at the middle school. for high school and middle. That was on the computer portion of the program. It's called Alex and Arrive Math Booster. We actually hadn't tried Arrive Math Booster yet. That was something we were kind of holding because they had so many new things with the math. We kind of wanted to take it in pieces. But the Alex is an adaptive computer program that will go up or down based on what the child does in it. So a child literally can go a grade ahead or can bump down 2 grades if they need those skills. The Arrive Math Booster is for teachers to assign where there's either been gaps in lessons that, let's say a child doesn't know place value. They can assign that on the child's level. Or if a child is in 7th grade math and already has mastered all those skills, the teacher can assign 8th grade math through that program. So the training for Redbird, which is the K through 5 version, and Arrive Math Booster was held on the 4th for elementary and primary school, and the trainers have already shared the webinars with us, and we sent that to all the teachers, so if they couldn't attend the training, and Woody Gap actually preferred the webinars because their teachers would have lost a lot more of their instruction time with the drive over and the drive back. So that was going to help them. And I thought you'd like to hear a little feedback on that. Teachers have said, I've had a couple of teachers tell me the textbook's fine, but they say Alex is awesome. And one of the comments was it's worth every penny and that the kids love it as much as the teachers. So that's always a plus when you get that. And then last month in your folders, you got the new little gifted pamphlet that we did. And this was, I've worked in gifted many, many years, and it can be overwhelming, the detail of it and the information you have to kind of dig through. So we wanted to give our parents something that was a little bit more user-friendly to give them the basics of the program. So we did this referral manual or brochure, and if parents ask for it at the school, they can have it, but it's also posted online under the district tab for gifted referral info. So that's available to our parents. Then our EOC testing, we started it last week, and this is our 2nd week. We'll wrap up the main testing tomorrow, and then we'll have makeups on Thursday and Friday morning. I'd like to give a special shout out to our technology department. They worked hard on getting our computers ready for all the kids. So we've had very few internet glitches this time with how hard they worked on it ahead of time. And then to Leslie Groves for helping with our test tickets. So, and our school coordinators are working really hard to make everything go as smoothly as probably it's ever been. So that's been great. Yes.
On the Arrive Math Booster,
Yes.
You said that, like, if the 7th grader goes above, they could do the 8th grade
Yes.
work. Can they do the work outside of that school's grade option? What if they finish the 7th and the 8th? Could they go on to 9th?
The Alex goes 6 through 12. So it can take them into Algebra 1, it can take them into, now we don't do like advanced placement, it doesn't have that. But geometry has that.
Okay, so it doesn't limit you per the school grade?
No. It actually goes by the skill itself. So a child could feasibly be in one part of geometry and another part of algebra, depending on where they're performing.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Bitterman?
Good to see everybody. Going to go over fall. We had an incredible fall. Softball made Sweet 16. Volleyball made history with the Elite 8. Cross country, our girls placed 9th in the state. Boys were state runner-ups by literally one run. It was pretty awesome. Luke Ambrell got 4th. Zoe won another state championship, which was her 2nd one. Football, 2nd round of the playoffs, Sweet 16, and we're a couple of plays out of making it to the next round. So the beautiful thing moving into next year, I think we can continue to see better things. We're in that transition now, and it's hard to believe, but in 3 weeks we actually start spring sports. So I know it's hard to say spring, but you know, MLK Day starts spring sports, and then the week before that's actually conditioning. Right now we've got girls basketball, boys basketball, and wrestling and swimming all going very hard. Seeing a lot of good things. one of the biggest focuses moving into the winter sports is all culture. It's completely culture. Getting the little things right before we move forward, because if we get those right, then everything will be set forward as we move on. You know, we might see some, it was funny, I was talking with the coach last night, we might see some, he's having to bench a couple of kids for some things. And so, you know, I know the competitor in you wants to do it now, but culture's about what are we doing to be better later so the kids are doing it themselves. And so a lot of good things happening there. Already working with the spring coaches because let's face it, with schedules and everything coming out, it's that time. So we're going to have those going on for a whole month, overlapping each other. So a lot of interesting things taking place. Big picture, Georgia High School Association. Our region is moving, our 8A, 8AA is moving into 5 teams. Riverside, Raven, Elbert, and Banks, and then of course us. Now Riverside is all boys, okay? So automatically in those sports that are female athletes, we're automatically going into the playoffs, okay? Now I know that go, wait. Moving forward as we go in, it is a good thing. So we go straight in and we're able to compete at that level. Now, here's where it gets real interesting. With moving into that type of region, it's hard to find games. So I'm going to give Coach Allison a pat on the back because we've been working hard. We've already got the football schedule done, whereas a lot of the schools in the state of Georgia do not, especially the ones that only have 5-team regions. So we've already got that set. We've already got homecoming set. Moving into next year, we will be playing, the 6 games we'll be playing, if you want to know, is going to be George Washington Academy, and we can send you the schedule. George Washington Academy, Fanning, White County, Pickens, Commerce, and Woodland, and then we're going to be scrimmaging towns. And here's the great thing about this. One of the key things that we looked at our summer leadership was financing and transportation. You're going to notice Oglethorpe's out, Social Circle's out, Putnam's out. Drastic impact that'll help in financial for transportation, gas, drivers, also as well as academics because our kids are not getting back so late. So you're looking at a maximum drive of 2 hours. Another thing is we're moving into next year, unless it's region play, you're going to see or approved specifically administratively. We're going to have 1 game during the week and 1 game, the rest will be Friday and Saturdays. We're not going to be we're not going to be on Wednesday nights whatsoever unless it's a region or state. So we've already met with the coaches, and they know that moving forward, because we're already scheduled right now to get schedules full a year out. But just to kind of let you know, so we're making sure that our academics are first and foremost.
Thank you, Dr.
That's a 4-year change?
Well, two. But here's the good news. The number that was at was 925. I feel pretty good that with the way things are moving, I think we will make it for 1 more time. So we'll have this rotation, 1 more rotation. But the good news about that, then we'll have the depth in numbers and culture to when we go to AAA, we're not going to have an issue. So we've got a good 4 years. Then we'll move into that and we'll be prepared once we go there.
Thank you. Mr. Davis?
I just had a couple updates on grants. Actually, one was specific to what David presented with the alignment machine grant. I presented probably about 1.5 years ago to you all about some needs in our automotive program, how the equipment was really close to 20 years old, most of it. And since that time, we've made some improvements with a lot of the smaller equipment. Last year, I was able to set aside some money where he updated a lot of that equipment, a lot of the stand-up toolboxes. However, during our college and career academy stuff going on, Snap-on came and walked through the lab and didn't like seeing Husky stuff, so they donated that big donation of Snap-on equipment, which was pretty awesome. But the alignment machine, that bigger stuff is the hard stuff to replace just because of the dollar amount. And so I found a grant, actually the state offered this grant this semester. It was called an Opportunities Equipment Grant specifically for a big piece of equipment in schools that would be very financially burdened. It would be a burden for us to do all on our own. So we applied for it and we got it. But the piece of equipment that we're wanting to buy is a hunter machine. It's the same thing that they're training at North Georgia Tech in their automotive program over in Clarksville. And it was also recommended by our industry partners as.
I'm gonna interrupt Josh, excuse me, Josh, and let y'all know how hard of a worker this man is. He didn't tell you the whole story, he was at a conference and somebody let him know about this grant. The grant was due at 12 p.m., he found out about it at 9:30, he called me. He wrote the grant while he was at his conference, sent it to me, I had to sign it, send it back to him, and he submitted it at like 11:50 that day. So he did that while he was on the road in about 2 hours, so, thank you.
We got the grant, and so, but it didn't cover the full amount, but, that piece of equipment, the machine that we have currently is an O2, and Hunter quit servicing it a long time ago. It's just been sitting there collecting dust. But this new, piece of equipment, it comes with computer software, animation, and that's why everybody is suggesting this piece, because it'll really teach the kids what they need to know, up to industry standards. So, sorry I couldn't get a grant to cover the whole price. My other update is on the College and Career Academy grant. You guys probably already heard, about a week and a half ago, we got word that we did not get that funding for this year. But we kind of knew going into it back in July that they kind of told us it was a 2-year process. But since that time, we've been contacted by countless people that were in that process of the scoring of our grant. And every single one of them are just raving on what we did. The 2 districts that did receive the grant were second-year applicants. We actually scored higher than the third second-year applicant. We were the third. So if they would have funded 3 grants, we would have actually got it the first year. So that's pretty awesome. And also, one of the guys that was on the scoring committee has come in, and he's going to literally walk us through the process for the next year. And he's got high ties with all of them. So if the legislature's funded again, we got a pretty good high chance of getting it this time next year. So we're excited though. We're going to move forward with a lot of the things that we have already done. One of the best comments I got from somebody in the community was that, this process brought everybody to the table, which is a big thing. We've got industry people at the table, post-secondary, and so we look forward to this spring planning to implement a lot of these things in the fall. So, any questions on any of that?
I would like to say that it's been one of the best processes we've gone through. It's quite challenging at times. Josh and his team of people did a fantastic job. David, everyone involved in it. But the greatest benefit that I've seen is we've sat down at the table with all the large employers. We've been into businesses. We're learning more. There's a whole lot more to education than the core content areas. And we need to be really looking and really having our finger on the pulse better in the school district, the business and industry needs. And we need to work hand in hand with those folks and funnel our kids into good, high-skilled, high-wage jobs and positions. There's so many jobs within 30 minutes of where we're sitting right now that are really good opportunities for kids. And we've got to get our teachers there, we've got to get our students there, and get them to understand. We were at Lieutenant Governor's Economic Summit, was that last week?
Last Monday, yes.
And the statistics are that the job market in the United States by 2025 will only require 33% of people, employees, to have a 4-year college degree. Okay, 66% are high-skilled, high-wage trade jobs. And we've got to switch gears on what we're funneling kids into in the nation. Interesting statistic nationally, this was the first year in 30 years that 4-year colleges have seen a decline in enrollment. So folks are starting to catch on that you really need to analyze the job market before you pick. And align that with your passion, align that with your skill set, but that's not the only answer going to a 4-year college. So many opportunities that our students have that we need to ensure that we're working with that business and industry partner and meeting their needs. Because let's face it, if we don't address that issue, we're gonna have major problems as a country. I mean, this is a microcosm, but we can impact our little region, not just our county, but our region in this effort. That's what we intend to do. And we're very, very excited about that kind of work.
Could I add one more thing too? I'm sorry. Our charter amendment that you all approved was approved at the state level this past week. So for the College and Career Academy to be an addition to our district. So that's awesome, and that's opening the door for us to really move forward. So.
We have 4 minutes to go. How many more directors?
That is it, Madam Chair.
That's all you
We're
have?
done, yes, ma'am.
I'd like to entertain a motion that we adjourn the 6 o'clock meeting.
Make that motion, Madam Chair.
Second.
All in favor? Next item is the approval of the minutes from the work session and board meeting. We were all sent those through the computer and had time to read and review them. Does anyone have any changes or any questions? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion. We approve the minutes from the work session and board meeting from November 19th, 2019.
Make the motion, we approve the meeting minutes from the work session and board meeting on November 19th as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Next is discussion items. First item is Union County UCS Homework Enrichment Learning Program update. Dr. Davenport, please.
Sure. I have asked Rebecca Ganley to come and talk to you folks and give you an update, but before she does that, I'd just like to let the board know what a great job Rebecca and her team has done with the after-school program. It's finally we were able to do what's right for kids without a lot of dictation on times and requirements from the federal government. So we took what we've learned in the past several years and tweaked it and made it just, I think, a great after-school program that has a substantial waiting list. So I'll let Rebecca tell you some statistics and some individual information about the program.
Good evening. Dr. Davenport said it perfectly. Changing from the 21st Century Grant to what we have funded now has caused our numbers to explode. We currently have 152 students enrolled across Union County schools, and at this time last year we had 135 students, which constitutes a 12% increase in participation. Our attendance, with the 21st Century Grant, we were penalized if students were missing for extracurricular activities, even if they were school-related, like football and soccer. So our attendance is hovering right around 85% across the board, which again is a significant improvement. And our students are able to participate in band and chorus, cross-country, the Good News Club, anything that's offered after school, they are now able to do that in addition to coming to the after-school program. We sent out teacher surveys to find out how the teachers were feeling about how the program is doing compared to last year. And we received 35 responses. 76.5% reported that the teachers are communicating regularly with after-school staff, which is vital to the success. 86.6% say that the students are completing their homework, which is, again, a significant improvement because we are able to focus on getting those daily assignments finished. 74.5% of the teachers reported that the students are prepared for tests and quizzes every week, and 94.3% of the teachers reported that the program is helping address the academic gaps as well. So I'm exceptionally proud of our staff for the hard work that they do. We also sent out parent surveys. We only got 11 respondents back. The majority of the parents who responded had kids for 2 to 3 years that had been in the program. 63% said that the homework is being completed in after school. So that is a goal that we try to make sure that the time is being utilized efficiently so that all of the homework is being finished. We don't want our kids going home with homework after they've spent 2 hours working on it. 100% of the parents feel that the program is meeting the needs of their children. And I also sent out an email to the administration to find out how they were feeling about it. And we were told that it's a great resource. we are meeting not only the academic, but the social and the emotional needs of our students. And one administrator just continued to encourage us to maintain those relationships with day teachers. And so we are out for the rest of the year, and we'll resume on January 6th and go through May 7th.
Dennis, great job.
Thank you.
That's a credit to our Board of Education for allowing us to fund this, this opportunity for our kids, so thank you all for that.
Absolutely.
Very much.
Next item is out-of-state field trip, 8th grade to Washington DC, October 9th through the 13th. Mrs. Stafford.
This is our trip that we've been taking for several years now. We leave on the Friday, then we get out for fall break and come back on Tuesday. And we will begin fundraising if this is approved after first year.
Anybody have any questions? I went last year. It was a wonderful trip. I highly recommend you helicopter your parents. It's wonderful. I mean, your children. It's great. That's what I did, so. Okay, next item is student petition for early graduation. Mr. Hill?
Can we,
Skip the superintendent update. Mr. Hill?
Yes, Madam Chair. The reason this wasn't on your agenda was I was not sure if we would get these in time, but we got them today about 12:30. And just as an effort to increase transparency to all our stakeholders, we have, this is our first attempt at a State of the Schools address. This essentially is your academic piece where we're at performance-wise, the good, the bad, and the ugly, mostly good. Areas for improvement, as Mr. Barbero says, opportunities for improvement, and also highlight some of the great things that our teachers and students are accomplishing here in the school system. And we're not going to go through this line by line, but these are yours to keep, and these will be out in the community for folks to see and to see the performance for our school district and how we rank up amongst our competitors. So we're really proud of this, and next year, you know, we'll expand this effort to be more comprehensive to the entire picture, but for a first attempt, we're pretty proud of this document. Do you all have any questions about it?
It's wonderful. That was nice of Pioneer Risa to do this for us.
Yes, they did a good job. We worked on it. Justin Old actually delivered it today. So,
It's wonderful.
yeah, it's awesome. Thank you.
We'll make sure you get one because it's a wealth of information. Next item is, of course, the student petition early graduation, Mr. Hill.
Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Jones is at the Leadership Development Conference, so that's why he's not here, but we have two students, Liam Green and Sarah Miles, that have completed all their graduation requirements, and they've been certified by the site administrator, counselor, and Mr. Huston, high school principal, and we would appreciate your approval of their early graduation status so these young folks can join the workforce.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion. We accept the student petition for early graduation for both of these individuals.
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is out-of-state field trip, 8th grade to Washington DC. Mrs. Stafford just told us about it. I'd like to entertain a motion. We accept the out-of-state field trip for the fall break of 2020.
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Next item is board meeting dates for 2020. Mr. Hill.
Yes, Madam Chair, you'll notice that September and October are not on the third Tuesday of the month. And the reason behind that is we have found over the last 3 years that having the meeting after a break and 95% of our employees are gone, we end up dropping the ball or missing getting something important and vital on an agenda. And also fall break is the week that I have to attend the superintendent's conference. So I'm out of town and we're trying to work via telephone, and that's not real effective. And so we strategically backed the September meeting up so we wouldn't have almost a 6-week gap between meetings by adjusting October. And so that's the reason those two meeting dates are not on the third Tuesday.
Does anyone have any questions? I'd like to entertain a motion. We accept the Board of Education 2020 meeting dates as submitted.
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Board policy update, Mr. Murphy.
Yes, ma'am.
We've reviewed this is just a second reading, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions from the last reading? Is everyone okay with them? So, I'd like to entertain a motion, we accept the board policy updates as submitted.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Financial report for October 2019. We received the email from, and my mind went blank, Ms. Bundy, that she would not be here. Does anyone have any questions, or did you email her, or is everyone okay with the reports as submitted? I think she answered everything in her very detailed notes on it.
Make a motion, we approve the financial reports for October 2019 as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Next item is bid approval. Mr. Murphy, we went through these over the work session. Does anyone have any questions on them? Okay, do you want to take them all together or independently? Is that acceptable, Mr. Hill? That we take them? Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion. We accept all of the bid proposals that Mr. Murphy submitted us during the 6 o'clock work session.
I'll make that motion also, Madam Chair. Second.
All in favor? Personnel recommendations. Dr. Davenport, do you have anything to add on it, or?
No, I do not.
Okay. We received the personnel recommendations as well as their paperwork supporting this. Does anyone have any questions? Do you want to take them all together or independently? All together? Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion. We accept the personnel recommendations as submitted.
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. And I think, does anyone have anything else that we need to discuss? Okay. Entertain a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor?